Welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is Bryan Steele, and I will be your nerd today. And every other day you watch one of my goofy little shows. So we are going to cover a quick day in Bryan, even though it's been a pretty eventful week, all things considered. So work-wise, things are still going steady with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers first big adventure book. Still working on that. I've taken a little bit of a side jaunt at the request of my Renegade Masters to do something for Free RPG Day. Whenever that's coming, I don't know when that is, but I'm writing something for Renegade. So that's super fun. Just recently signed on to do something very cool for a board game that has yet to be announced. Sounds like a very interesting board game to be working with. And I'm not in a design role. I'm in more of a narrative role. So that's gonna be I'm basically coloring in someone else's lines, if you want to put it that way. Still working on the Shadowrun novel. Still working on Warzone stuff. Right now, honestly, Warzone, because it's kind of mid playtest, there's not a lot for me to do until we start figuring out what's the next step. Do we move into another thing on playtesting? Do we start making the skeleton of the book itself on the parts that we know that aren't changing? So it really kind of is sort of dependent on Alex and Res Nova as to what's the next big step for me with Warzone. Until then, I'll just keep on dreaming up new special abilities and new stuff for the units that we haven't made yet, and just keep on hoping that the game is as successful as I think it's going to be, so we get to these models that I'm designing. But yeah, that's really honestly about it. Just as far as work-wise go, it's I'm doing a lot of commission painting. I realized that my queue had gotten a little deeper than I wanted it to. So I took an evening off from my normal extracurriculars and really battened down the hatches and focused on getting some commission stuff put out. So that's pretty cool. And at the same time, working on a piece for a contest, an online contest. That I don't believe is fan voting. I think it's all from the company itself. But either way, I'll probably be posting pictures of it on my Instagram and stuff, so you'll get to see it there. Speaking of painting, so a couple weeks ago I did, or was it last week? I think last week I did the unboxing of the Conquest box. And then it came with paints that I had never used before. Those Warsenal paints, I think was what they were called. They are interesting. I've never had paints packaged the way that they are. Not only are the bottles themselves, they are not soft plastic. They are hard acrylic. That I think they would shatter before they would break, before they would bend. So they're very sturdy as far as the bottles go. They have a very, very tiny dropper in there, almost like a tiny piece of wire with a hole in it, almost like a syringe dropper, to get the paint out itself, which is fine because the paint itself is extremely thin, which I would not use it as your first coat, because you'll probably end up having to do multiple coats. But it is very good paint. The pigment is very, very steady. There's not a lot of separation. It's very even as far as from one end of the stroke to the other. I haven't seen a whole lot of streaking or anything like that. It's good paint. It's very, very good paint. It just comes in a kind of strange packaging. Oh, and the tops, the actual caps are childproof. They're like the kind of where they push down and turn. Like I said, I've never seen paint so well protected, to put it lightly. But it is good paint. It's just not what I would call base colors. I'm going to use I'll probably try to see if I can't find more. I'm going to use a lot of these for highlights, for layering. They're great for wet blending because they're so liquidy and thin. So I'm excited to get to experiment more with those. But as it is right now, if you are used to like Army Painter paints or GW paints, you're probably going to there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve getting to use that particular product. That's really all my work stuff. Gaming wise, it's been a great week. Got to play a lot of video games, which is fine. I do that to de-stress. Played the Curse of Strahd game, which was excellent. Always comes off good for us. We are starting to we met Strahd himself, and we are starting to find out more about the overall plot, which is very good because for a while there, I think the DM was concerned that we were just floundering from encounter to encounter. So now we're actually starting to figure out that there is more story for us to be digging into. My Friday night game, where I'm the cat monk, we played. It was more of a setup session this particular week. We got to meet some NPCs, learn a little bit about what was going on, and then we had to make kind of some hard decisions of what do we want to do. Do we leave a person behind? Do we leave the NPC in the care of other NPCs, or do we force them to come along with us? So there was a lot of questions that had to be asked. But overall, it was kind of a prep session. So I think this week, when we get to sit down and play, this one will probably be a lot more meaty, and we'll probably have more conflict based off of the stuff that we did last week. Let's see, what else did we get to play? My wife watches a lot of fun YouTube things and whatnot, and there's a pair of guys, I can't remember their name for the life of me, but she loves them, and they play a lot of pranks on each other, and they have a lot of fun games amongst their little crew. And one of those fun games was basically a kind of like a ping pong ball in a cup, and the cup has either a something cool or something like a cool benefit or a nasty surprise. I had to have an egg smashed over my head. My son got a shaving cream pie in the face. Natalie had to put peanut butter all over her face and let the dogs lick it off. But then on the good side of things, I won a movie night of my choice, where the family didn't get to they didn't get to complain whatever I decided to watch, and that I got a snack of my choice during the movie. But I also had to pay my kid $5 and my wife $3 based off of things that I got. It's just a cute little game. It was a way for us to spend an hour in the afternoon, not tethered to a screen and not necessarily, sedentary and sitting down and just playing cards or whatever. But that same day, we also played a game with one of my fully vaccinated friends came over, and we played a full game of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid board game, which, if I haven't mentioned before, it is a great game. Even if you're not into Power Rangers, if you're not into Power Rangers, some of the cards and some of the things that are happening, you might go, what? Robo-Goat. Like you might not know what's going on, and you might not realize that what's happening in this game actually, and a lot of these powers and all these cards match up with the story in the comic book seamlessly. But from a game designer standpoint and a gamer standpoint, it is an excellent game system. It is very tension building. You can make bad decisions, but it's a cooperative game, and we ended up beating the bad guy. But it literally came down to the last die roll of the last fight of the last action. If it would have missed, we would have lost. If we would, in the fact that we hedged our bets pretty well. Like we'd have to roll really bad for that fight to have gone poorly for us. But there was a possibility we could have lost or won based off of our decisions on a single roll in the end of the game. And that kind of gameplay always makes me happy. I've never been a fan of a cooperative game where you just steamroll it. It's like, what's the point? We spent 2 hours setting up a board so we can go, yeah, we won, even though it wasn't that hard. This one, there were moments where we're looking at the board and be like, man, we're screwed. We're done. The bad guys won. Bad guys 3, Power Rangers 0. And then it came down to, we realized, we're like, you know what? It's possible. We could, if you do this at this time and this works and this, we came down to actually, to strategize how we were going to do that last turn. And if any of it fell apart, we would have lost. But luckily, everything kind of went to plan, and came down to that last die roll, and the die roll came up our way, and we won. And it is one of those things where I'm sitting around a table full of people who don't really care about Power Rangers, and for me, I'm looking at this and going, okay, this is a pretty cool, this is a cool setup. The characters that we chose, the monsters that happen to come up, the random boss. If we beat him, all of his minions leave. It's just like the TV show, and I was excited, and it turned out really well. So, kudos to the Renegade team. Kudos to Jonathan Ying, the primary designer for that game. I look forward to playing it more, and hopefully, if I ever get a chance through Renegade, I would love to help Jonathan come up with ideas for bad guys. I would dig that. I am very thirsty today. We had a round of very weird weather, and it sucked all the moisture out of my house. So I am just super dry and parched, and so you'll probably see me dive to my iced coffee quite a bit. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the meat of the subject. Now that I've talked about the Renegade, talked about gaming, talk about work stuff. Let's talk about this season, this time of year seems to be really a bit like there seems to be a lot of people focused on getting Kickstarters out. You see a bunch of them pop up on Facebook. If you ever go to the Kickstarter website and just sort of go into one of the sections, obviously I go into like gaming and just kind of surf around. You find all kinds of things to back that I hate to say this, that suck. You look at super amateur made stuff, which again are not necessarily bad. I've picked up some amateur projects through Kickstarter that are remarkably well done, or at least like the actual like subject matter. Yeah, it might not have professional art, or it might not have the greatest binding because they couldn't pay for a professional bookbinder. But the end result still is a great product that you can bring to your table. So don't immediately discount something because it looks Watch their video. If they've got some gameplay, look at the stats, look at stuff and really get into it. So for the people who surf and shop on Kickstarter a lot, this is not news to you. How this works is not a problem. For people who don't Kickstarter, who generally you see the ads, you see the commercials, and you go, I'll just wait till it comes out on the shelves or whatever. I'm going to let you in on a little secret that is super important to every person who's ever done a Kickstarter. I have done 2 that have failed, sadly. One failed because I just don't think, I think I picked the absolute worst time to do it. And I did not give, I didn't do nearly as much advertising as I needed for the idea that I was putting together. For the concept of the book that I was doing, I needed to explain it better, and the results of the Kickstarter showed that. For the other one, my Kickstarter I did for the Seventh Crown role playing setting, that Kickstarter failed because I shot for the moon. I went for hardcover, color, professionally edited, all fancy art. You know, I went bonko. You know, I went bonzo right at the very beginning, and it set that number really high when I should have said, I just want to get the project out, and if it does well, I'll add all these extra cool things. The stretch goals can be, hey, move from soft cover to hard cover. Hey, from black and white to full color. Hey, including the posters. That sort of thing. I should have. Hindsight's 2020. I missed my goal by a couple $1,000, and I looked back and realized that I could have easily shaved that couple $1,000 off, without hurting the project at all. And my goal eventually is to become, to get into a position where I'm not working on 10 projects at once, and I could go back into Seventh Crown and make a, updated version of it, make it, bring it up to date, because at this point that's almost 10 years ago. Bring it up to date, bring it up to whatever edition of D&D is current, and try the release again. But that didn't happen. So one thing I am going to say about Kickstarter, and a lot of people don't know this, so there's a weird trend that people will be surfing Kickstarter, and they will see a project that it doesn't have very many backers, or isn't fully backed, or it hasn't reached its goal yet, and they will go, yeah, you know what, I'll wait to see if it reaches its goal before I back it. That is the most backwards way of thinking. If you're one of those people, I apologize if I'm mocking you or anything, but that is such a dumb thing to do, because the whole purpose of Kickstarter is to try and get those people to their goal, show them the support of their project, get them to the goal so they can create it, not wait to see if it gets to the goal and then throw more money at it. Yeah, stretch goals are cool, but the most important thing is to get them to the goal. And if you wait to see if someone makes it to their goal before you give them their money, if there's one of you, there's probably 1,000 of you that are doing the exact same thing, and it's keeping them from succeeding. And if they don't succeed, nothing happens. Also, as a backer, if they don't succeed, you don't get charged. A lot of people don't know that. And when I say, hey, I'm putting $20 towards this Kickstarter, if it doesn't reach its goal, I don't get charged. I don't lose that $20. I only lose that money as if it actually reaches its goal, and then I'm not losing that money. Now it's an actual investment to get that product back. It might take a while or whatever, but that's the nature of Kickstarter. But there are so many people out there that go, you know what, it's not doing real well. I'm not going to, I might like it, but if it's not going to make it, I'm not going to give them their money. No, don't help them. Help them by give them traction. Help them by get them to their goal. And then once they're to their goal, other people will join in. And there's too much when it comes to Kickstarters. There are too many people that basically wait to see if it's going to be successful to get to put their name on it. And that is, frankly, that is just silly and dumb. Don't be that person. If you're going to back a Kickstarter, back it. Just even if it's just $5 so you can be on their message board and find out what's going on. Just back it. Become part of the program. Get them to their goal. What that's going to do, if we can change the mentality of Kickstarter backers to just go, if I like it, I'm going to try and back it. Not, I like it, but I want to wait to see if it makes it. No. back your projects that you like, because they need the support. Because unfortunately, what people have been doing is they either pre-make a product completely because they're a multi-million-dollar company, and then they just go, well, I'm. It's almost like they're almost treating Kickstarter like a credit card. They're going, I've made it. It's here's my $500,000 game, and I need to at least make that much back through Kickstarter to make it worth this. But if they make more than that, then awesome. It's been profitable. There's so many people out there that they can't do that. They can't pre-make their product. They need you. They need you to back them. They need you to get to that number. And that's such a huge deal to some creators that you can't sit back and go, well, if it's not going to make it, I'm not going to back it. It's not like they're putting your name on a list of, man, you backed a lot of losers, or anything like that. No one even needs to know that you are part of the process, win or lose. Just help these guys out, help these creators out. And that's what I wanted to do today, because although I'm going to back all of these anyway, I wanted to do my part through the channel to basically highlight a handful of Kickstarters that are either going live now, are live now, or going live very soon. So you can go onto their preview pages and things like that and sign up to be like, hey, let me know when things happen. There are 4 that I knew of right off the top of my head that I wanted to show you guys, and they're 4 drastically different products. One I've actually already talked about before. It is the Cursed Empires card game. The Cursed Empire card game, Heroes of Thargos. I've obviously got a little bit of a stake in this because I designed the game, the game's engine itself. But it's a great world. It's a great system. The art on these cards is fantastic, and it's just fun. I think that people will. I think card gamers will just enjoy how the game is built and how the game is set up, and the fact that Chris already has his Kickstarter lined up with a bunch of cool stretch goals, like gaming mats and expansion cards and art things, and I believe he was even talking about a soundtrack at some point. Whether or not that's going to happen, I don't know, but just super cool stuff. And also, on top of that, a cool game originally designed by a cool person. He says while he points to himself. So I've talked about that. I've talked about Cursed Empires before. And it is right now, I think he's in the stage where he is on his Kickstarter. He is accepting people to sign up to, not obviously not like backing, but sign up to let everybody know, hey, it's going live tomorrow, or in 6 hours it's going live, or whatever, or just letting people get messages about what's the next thing that they're working on. How close are we to the 3rd edition of the role-playing game? What's the future for CE? And I think that is that's worth signing up just to know what's going on. Even if when it comes down to the Kickstarter, you don't give anything, or I personally think that you should get the game, or even if you just throw $1 his way to watch the message boards and see what people are saying, or get on that message board, so that way later on when future products come out, you'll get the email that says, hey, I know you may not have been thanks for backing the card game, but check out the role-playing game. Just to get on that list, and so that we've got the information. So that one's coming. Another non-role-playing, but this is an aid. So a while back, there was a Kickstarter for the Skinny Minis. which is actually an offshoot of Dungeon in a Box, which Dungeon in a Box I used to work for a long time ago. I did a lot of writing for them. They're great people. I love those guys. I love their products. They do a great job. But they put out last year. They put out a Kickstarter for this, which was Skinny Minis 1. And Skinny Minis are basically a cheap way, an inexpensive way for a dungeon master to populate their map with monsters. And I've got some examples here from the first Kickstarter. So they come on. So here's a Drider. They're gorgeous. I want to get close so you can see it. They're gorgeous art. What's cool about them is since they're on this clear acrylic, the front is the front and the back is literally like the back of the monster. So like all of the art that they do is a front and back, which I think is it's weird. It's silly. A lot of little standees, like cardboard standees you get, don't do that. It's just the same picture front and back. So I think that that's just a nice touch to have the front and back. But they're if you saw that, they come on these little bases that they come with. They just click in, and then you've got your in this case your standard Drider warrior princess. I don't know. But one of the things that you might not be able to know is they are thick. Like they're 2 to 3 millimeters thick of hard. Here, click click. That they are hard acrylic. I have yet to break one in a significant fashion. I did break one of the spindly bits off of one, but that was because it fell out of my chair and I rolled back onto it when I had. Oh, I forgot. You'll note that I'm not in my office chair. My office chair died. So I'm currently in a relatively uncomfortable kitchen chair until I get a couple more paychecks, and then I'm going to go there. There is one of the, I don't remember what company it is, but they make gamer chairs. They're technically video game chairs, but there's one that is beautiful and perfect for working in my office. And to boot, it's got the Omega symbol on it, so it's a dark side chair, and I totally want it, but it's like $300, so I gotta wait until I get paid a few more times and take care of a few more bills before I can pick that baby up. So until then, kitchen chair it is. Yeah, the only skinny mini that I've broken was I dropped a guy and he landed on the floor and I went to go wheel back to get him and I rolled right over the top of him, and I am not a small cat, so it just crunched the wheel just turned this guy into bits. But it is what it is. These things happen. But they come on their own. In this case, I want to say these are hobgoblins, bugbears, and gnolls. They come on a sheet of the hard plastic. So here's all the fronts. We've got all the bugbears, all the gnolls, and then a bunch of hobgobs. And then on the back is all their backsides. Again, they're all hard acrylic. And what's cool, I don't do this because I've got a bunch of extra storage space for minis. The skinny mini guys, they're on these little backdrops that you can just punch them out and take them, put them in one of these little bases. Boop, here we go. We got Hobgoblin Warrior on a base. You'll notice this is the base that I took off of the Drider. You don't need to glue these guys in. Some of them you might if the tab isn't quite perfect, but like he's not going to fall off, and I can use him on the map just fine. And then when I'm done, I pop the base off, put that back in the drawer. I can put him back in his little slot, or a close proximity therein. Yep, so I put it back in his slot, and now He's back on the page and he's not going anywhere. Now, why that is cool is because on these Kickstarters, on the Skinny, at least on Skinny Mini 1, what they did is they sold a special binder that had particularly thick sleeves to hold these guys. So basically, it was almost like a photo album, or if you're a Magic card collector or a collectible card game collector, how you've got all your cards in your slots. These pages had your dudes. And then you just have like a page in the back that's got all your bases and stuff. So you could basically page through your minis to decide which ones you needed at the time. It's super rad. The guys at Dungeon Box, when they came up with this idea, it is so much better than regular standees, and so dramatically less expensive than buying. So we got 12 bad guys here. Okay, on average, I want to say this sheet was like $10, maybe. On average, even if you're getting the cheap, like Reaper Bones soft plastic Knoll box, that box of 4 is still going to be like probably $8 or $10. This is such a great, and they're already painted effectively. It's such a great way to add flair to your games, flair to your D&D games, without breaking the bank. And also, I've had people say, well, yeah, but what about, if you've got like a mixture of 3D miniatures and these guys? I've had them both on the table at the same time. You don't even notice. I mean, yeah, you might say, oh, these guys. Or what you do is you save special guys, like maybe bad guys that have character levels, or specifically have your player characters be the only ones that have 3D models, and then use all of the skinny minis for the adversary, so they even pop on the battlefield. Whatever. Basically it's a great product. And their Skinny Minis 2 is going to go live very shortly. I know they're advertising the heck out of it right now. I will put the link up for the advertisement so you guys can follow them and hopefully give them some love. And if there's anywhere on there where you can say, hey, Bryan Steele sent me, do it. Like I said, I used to work for those guys. I want them to know that we're showing them the love and we appreciate their products. So something else that you get in the Skinny Minis, it's one of the things that is always so hard if you're trying to do 3D models, like actual 3D miniatures, is some of the giant monsters. Because, yeah, I could go out and buy the new $300 Tiamat or a $60 giant, giant for the table, or I can get a Skinny Mini who's got the right kind of footprint based off of base size and whatever, and then. So this is one of the Skinny Minis. This is for the giant like land turtle island thing. I think it's got a name like Karatok or whatever. But it's you look at it, it's huge. It's bigger than my hand. It's got a base on it that's got the on a map that's 3x3, which is the size of a gargantuan creature. Or 4x4. I think it might be 4x4. But either way, it's enormous. Even though it hangs over the sides, the base is still there to show you how big it is on a battle map if it really came down to it. But even if you don't use this for battle, it is a great way to you're putting your map out. You're putting your map out for your guys, and they expect all those things. And then in the middle of the combat, you set something like this up on the end, and have him slowly walk into the scene. Maybe every other round he comes in 10-20 feet, or you just set him off to the side and say you can see him from over there. And the Skinny Mini guys on their website, they've got a couple of fire giants, a couple of demons, a couple of dragons that are of a larger size. It's a great, again, it's a drastically less expensive than finding the actual like scale models for these things. And they're already colored. They're great art, and they are still, even though they're flat, they are still an impressive size to put on the table and have your party go, whoa. It's cool. It's very, very cool. So you should definitely check out the Skinny Minis, Skinny Minis 2 when you get a chance. Get on their list. Give them money if you can. But please do let them know. Tell them that I sent you. I don't get any kickbacks or anything like that. They're not a sponsor. They're just former employers of mine that I want them to know that I'm still waving the flag even though I don't work for them. The last two Kickstarters that I want to cover today that are put out by friends of mine. One is these are both active currently. When the time of this video comes out, they are on and active Kickstarters. So you could back them. The first one I'm going to talk about has already reached its goal, so it's a no risk. If you go to them and you give them money, tell them I sent you. Tell them the professional nerd said swing on by, because it's a cute idea. These last two things are the kind of the opposite scopes of what role-playing Kickstarters are. The first one is a Kickstarter called Devil Dice Island. And it's more, rather than a game system, rather than a full, giant mega world, it's kind of like a miniature game adventure. Where the concept is all of the players here have done something to get sent to Devil Dice Island. And Devil Dice Island is, imagine like D&D's version of Lost, where you find yourself on this island. This island is filled with weird, stereotypes and weird tropes and things that, might confuse you and whatever. It's like it's like a role-playing game purgatory, where you get sent. It is very cute. It is put out by some old LARPing friends of mine, it's a very neat idea. And even if you don't run it straight out of the book, it's got a lot of really cool ideas in it that you might be able to adapt to your own game, come up with some interesting concepts of your own that kind of blend into it. I definitely think that it's worth looking into, and it's super inexpensive, because this is actually one of those where I mentioned that legitimate amateur game creators are doing this. You can actually, on their Kickstarter, they can check out, they're making their own ink stamps to do stuff on the pages, to create stickers and things. They're doing it all themselves. And a lot of it by hand. It's a really check out this basically a hand carved ink cover. Check this out. So yeah, it is. Very rustic looking, obviously, but it's cool. It's neat. Again, you're not buying this for the flash and pump and full color gorgeousness or anything like that. You were buying this because it's a very well thought out, well put together product, and that's the goal that the creator wants. He wants to get this product out there. And yeah, if he makes a lot of money on it, he makes, the Kickstarter does really well, his stretch goals will help spruce up the product and make it even cooler for you guys. But even by itself, even if it's just ink, hand carved ink stamps and printed out word pages, if the product is still good, you're still getting the right kind of benefit out of it. Unless, of course, the person charges too much. And if that's the case, then their Kickstarter is probably going to fail anyway. In this case, I know that it's not failing. It's already hit its goal, and is now just racking up towards those stretch goals. So yeah, check out Devil Dice Island. You will not be disappointed. And then the last one is one of how I mentioned that sometimes Kickstarters are much bigger affairs with lots of star power and lots of names behind it, and gorgeous art and beautiful stretch goals and cool stuff that they add on because they have the ability to do so. Well, friends of mine, Jameson Stone and Sateen Phoenix, they are putting together their first book through Jameson's company, Apotheosis Studios, called Sirens: Battle of the Bards. And so, if you know Sateen and Jameson, they are bards. They are living, breathing bards. They are storytellers. They are actors. They are entertainers. And they're creators. They create amazing role playing game stuff, and the two of them are an unstoppable power couple when it comes to a role playing game, like creative force. And apparently, a while ago, they started coming up with the idea of this Battle of the Bards, where it is a game based around the concept. So it's a role playing game, it's a fantasy style role playing game that is based around the concept of everybody is bards. Bards run everything. Cities that are run by bards. Like this unbelievably high drama. Everywhere is gorgeous, pretty. Because these guys, they would not stand to have a stand. Why would we build our city to be disgusting? Like it's so the art that they put together for this is gorgeous. One of the stretch goals that we've already seen are these cool bard themed dice. So there's like a paintbrush and a lute and a ink pot, and it's just amazing the stuff that they're coming up with for this. We got to see some miniatures. They partnered up with Hero Forge to make some miniatures of some of their bad guys and of their own personal characters. So there's a Jameson and a Sateen figure that is going to be available. The production quality alone on this product is well worth the price tag that they're going to attach to it. And I know for a fact, this is going to go gangbusters. This is going to smash stretch goals. This is going to do great. And I think if you can take away one thing from this, is if you are a role player, if you're a D&D player, and if you like the idea, just the sheer concept of an extremely high drama, high art and entertainment style game, back Sirens. Get in there, back Battle of the Bards, because this is going to be one of those games. You're going to see it on Twitch streams. Even obviously you're going to see it on Sateen and Jameson streams, but you're going to see it on other professionals doing it in the future. I know you will. At conventions, you're going to see people running this game. This is going to be big. Mark my words. Record, take a screenshot, whatever. Look at the production quality of just one of the ads. That was just the ad. The ad itself was gorgeous. Imagine what the book is going to be. I offered before I started getting really swamped. I actually offered Jameson and Sateen to help out if they needed it, anything that they wanted for this, because I really do think that this is going to be a big success. It's going to be a smash hit with the fans. It is going to be a success at the table. And I really think that if you are a role player, even if the idea of an all bard game seems, you're like, oh yeah, that's going to be nothing but people laughing and crying all night long. Even if it doesn't appeal to you, that book is going to have some amazing stuff in it. And when they start blasting through stretch goals, and I know they're going to, you're going to get a bunch of really cool stuff that if you don't get on board now to get that stuff, you're going to be kicking yourself later on when you go, oh, wait, what? That was a goal? Oh, man. Not to mention, above and beyond all things, Sateen and Jameson are great people. They're amazing people. We love them to death. Here at the show, and as people, we love them to death. And I want to see I want to see everybody's endeavors succeed. But when it comes to people who are near and dear to my heart, I want to see them not only succeed, I want to see them thrive. And I want Apotheosis Studios to do great, and I want Sateen to elevate that mantle of professional DM, because that's really what she has become, as a professional game master almost, to a kind of an outspoken, like, herald for Dungeons and Dragons. I want to see her take that next step and become an iconic creator too. That's I've said my piece, and I think that I definitely think that if you are even remotely interested, you need to come take a look at it, and you need to back that project, because it's going to be great. Hell, you need to back all 4 of these projects as they show up, and later in the fall, when we have our Warzone Eternal Kickstarter, I definitely am going to be talking about that. Basically, Kickstarter, I know a lot of people have had some Kickstarter burnout, especially during the whole pandemic thing. It is still a very useful tool. It is still necessary for some companies to be able to produce the products that they're making. They need to have the Kickstarter engine work the way it does, and amateur creators definitely need that support. So even if you just take 15-20 minutes out of your day, instead of scrolling through TikTok, instead of popping on Instagram and starting hearting things, head over to Kickstarter, find the gaming section, and just buzz through and find some people. Even if you find if you find something that you like and you're like, man, this is fantastic, this is hilarious, that I want to see this succeed, throw them a couple of bucks. Any traction is good traction. All right, so that's basically what I got for today. Is I really wanted to focus on my friends' Kickstarters, and also kind of explain the general mental fallacy that if it hasn't succeeded, I don't want to give money to it, because it's working backwards. I can't stress that enough. If you like a project, whether or not it has succeeded, give them your support. They need it, no matter how small. They need that traction, they need that attention, they need those numbers to crawl forward. So, without further ado, take a look at those things, back the ones that you want to back, show some love, show some support, do all of the stuff that you need to do. Go out there, wear your mask, get vaccinated. I actually get my, by the time this video will come out, I'll have had my first shot. I get mine tomorrow morning. Get out there, get vaccinated, wear a mask until everybody is on the safer side of things. But we're getting closer to being able to start being around each other again, going to the game stores again to play games, having conventions again. We're getting closer. And let's not screw this up. Let's keep pushing in the right direction, because I want everyone to be able to get together, to have fun, and more importantly, I want them to play some games. We'll see you next week.